Royal heartbreak, the Queen won't attend Beatrice's wedding as only 2 guests attend. Princess Beatrice will only have 2 guests at her wedding if the coronavirus crisis continues, which means the Queen may not be able to attend. The Church of England has said the number of people attending church weddings during the outbreak should be limited to the legal minimum of 5, the priest, the bride and groom and 2 witnesses. The Queen's granddaughter and her fiancé Edoardo Mapplimazzi have already cancelled their reception, which was due to take place in the gardens of Buckingham Palace. The couple still plan to wed on May 29 but intend to follow government advice on their ceremony. The husband and wife-to-be had previously planned to invite 150 guests to their wedding. Beatrice and millionaire property tycoon Edoardo Mapplimazzi are now looking into the option of a private marriage with a small group of family and friends rather than the grand royal wedding they originally planned for. However, this could be limited even further. With the current restrictions of just 2 family members or friends, it seems a small group of friends would be out of the picture. Moreover, Her Majesty the Queen may not be able to attend the ceremony due to the restrictions. Prior to the coronavirus outbreak, Beatrice would have wanted her grandparents the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh to be with her on her wedding day. The Queen was to host the private reception in the grounds of her London residence. But the government has called on all people in the UK, particularly the over 70s, to avoid all non-essential contact and travel as part of unprecedented peacetime measures aimed at controlling the spread of COVID-19. The Queen, 93, and the 98-year-old Duke of Edinburgh are at Windsor Castle, where they are socially distancing themselves. The 93-year-old monarch was spotted leaving Buckingham Palace this morning alongside her beloved dogs amid the coronavirus pandemic. While the monarch has left London 1 week earlier than planned, she has signaled she has no intention to stop working. According to Royal Central, the Queen will continue to receive government's red boxes daily, joining the thousands of people across the country who have started working from home earlier this week to avoid spreading the coronavirus. Her Majesty is also likely to carry out her weekly meeting with Prime Minister Boris Johnson next week. Rather than meeting the Prime Minister in person, however, the Queen has been speaking to him over the phone. The Queen isn't the only one who could miss out on the royal wedding. Princess Beatrice's sister Eugenie will not be able to attend should Beatrice choose her parents as witnesses. Couples are being advised to stream their ceremony to absent friends and family. Beatrice, daughter of the Duke of York, and Sarah, Duchess of York, is set to walk down the aisle in the Chapel Royal of St James's Palace in London. The Queen worked until her very last day in London, as yesterday she carried out several private audiences. Beatrice was overcome with excitement when she became engaged in Italy last September. However, since then, Italy has taken over China as the country with the most COVID-19 related deaths. Italy now has a death toll of 3,405. Princess Beatrice wedding heartbreak, Beatrice and Edo's wedding faces huge restriction. Princess Beatrice and Edoardo Mapplimazzi can still go ahead with their wedding, but they would be forced to have a very low-key ceremony amid the coronavirus pandemic. Princess Beatrice's wedding plans are being disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic which is sweeping across the globe. The young York and her fiancé Edoardo, also known as Edo, have announced on Wednesday they won't hold a wedding reception in the gardens of Buckingham Palace to protect their guests, especially the most vulnerable, from the virus and avoid further spreading it. This decision comes after Prime Minister Boris Johnson urged Britons on Monday to avoid mass gathering and practice social distancing. However, the government hasn't banned christenings or wedding ceremonies, which means that Beatrice and Edo's nuptials are still on. If the couple they truly can't wait to tie the knot, they can still marry each other, the Church of England confirmed yesterday. However, they would need to massively scale back on the number of the ceremony's attendees, which would also be slightly different. The Church of England said yesterday in its new guidelines, the new advice makes clear that, while these important life events can currently continue to be marked, they will have to be very significantly scaled back to meet the need for social distancing. It also makes clear that where families would like to rearrange, the Church would work with them to make this possible. In the case of weddings, it recommends that the numbers attending the ceremony should be limited to the legal minimum of 5 people, the priest, the bride and groom and 2 witnesses. Apart from the couple themselves, everyone else should observe a social distance as far as possible. The guidance makes clear that traditions such as the priest touching the rings or the couple's hands as part of a prayer or blessing are not required. Having only 2 guests would force both the bride and the groom to make a painful decision. Beatrice is known to be very close to her family, while Eduardo wanted to have as his best man his son, little Christopher. The guidelines suggested a practical solution to brides and grooms to be who want to go ahead with their wedding and want all of their loved ones to hear them saying "I do." The guidelines added, the guidance recommends streaming where possible but acknowledges couples may wish to postpone their wedding or proceed but hold a public blessing at a later date. Princess Beatrice and Edo haven't yet confirmed whether they are going ahead with their nuptials. In its latest statement regarding the couple, Buckingham Palace conceded Beatrice and Edo are considering government advice before taking any decision. The statement read, Princess Beatrice and Mr. Maplimazzi are very much looking forward to getting married but are equally aware of the need to avoid undertaking any unnecessary risks in the current circumstances. In line with government advice for the UK and beyond, the couple are reviewing their arrangements for 29 May. They are particularly conscious of government advice in relation to both the well-being of older family members and large gatherings of people. Therefore, the planned reception in the Buckingham Palace Gardens will not take place. The couple will carefully consider government advice before deciding whether a private marriage might take place amongst a small group of family and friends. Princess Beatrice wedding, the huge and royal wedding postponed until 2021. Princess Beatrice may have to postpone her May wedding to Eduardo Maplimazzi amid the coronavirus outbreak. This is the huge hint Bea could have to put off her big day until 2021. Princess Beatrice, 31, has been engaged to property developer Eduardo Maplimazzi since September and last month's plans for their royal wedding were finally released. In February, Buckingham Palace confirmed the wedding would be held at the 150-capacity Chapel Royal in St James's Palace on May 29 and that the Queen would host the reception in the gardens at Buckingham Palace. The statement read, the wedding of HRH Princess Beatrice of York and Mr. Eduardo Maplimazzi will take place on Friday, May 29, 2020. The couple became engaged in Italy in September 2019. Her Majesty the Queen has kindly given permission for the ceremony to take place at the Chapel Royal, St James's Palace. The ceremony will be followed by a private reception, given by the Queen, in the gardens of Buckingham Palace. While the palace has not confirmed any changes to Bea's big day amid the current coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak, it has confirmed changes to the Queen's calendar. Queen Elizabeth II will be 94 on April 21 and is considered vulnerable to the COVID-19 virus. A Buckingham Palace statement released on Tuesday outlined the precautions being taken to protect the Queen in the coming weeks and months, including cancellations to some planned events and pushing forward her Easter break relocation to Windsor Castle. The statement read, as a sensible precaution and for practical reasons in the current circumstances, a number of changes are being made to the Queen's diary. Audiences due to take place this week at Buckingham Palace will go ahead as planned. These include receiving the Prime Minister, the commanding officer of HMS Queen Elizabeth and the Bishop of Hereford. Future audiences will be reviewed on an ongoing basis, in line with the appropriate advice. The statement went on, Her Majesty will move to Windsor Castle for the Easter period on Thursday 19 March. 1 week earlier than planned. It is likely the Queen will stay there beyond the Easter period. In consultation with the medical household and government, a number of public events with large numbers of people due to have been attended by the Queen, and other members of the royal family, in the coming months will be cancelled or postponed. The annual Maundy service at St George's Chapel on 9 April will not go ahead. The statement continued, 3 garden parties hosted by the Queen, due to be held at Buckingham Palace in May, will now not take place. Guests already invited to these garden parties will be asked to attend in 2021. 2 additional garden parties given for the Not Forgotten Association and the National Trust will also not take place. Investitures will be rearranged to later dates. Further announcements on Trooping the Colour, The 75th anniversary of V-Day and the state visit by the Emperor and Empress of Japan will be made in due course, in consultation with government. The Queen was due to host Beatrice's wedding reception in the gardens of Buckingham Palace in May, but it seems unlikely she will risk her health for the event. On Wednesday, a place spokeswoman confirmed, Princess Beatrice and Mr. Mappley-Mozzi are very much looking forward to getting married but are equally aware of the need to avoid undertaking any unnecessary risks in the current circumstances. In line with government advice for the UK and beyond, the couple are reviewing their arrangements for 29 May. They are particularly conscious of government advice in relation to both the well-being of older family members and large gatherings of people. Therefore, the planned reception in the Buckingham Palace gardens will not take place. The couple will carefully consider government advice before deciding whether a private marriage might take place amongst a small group of family and friends. The Queen's official birthday celebrations Trooping the Colour are usually held in June and draw huge crowds to central London. As members of the public have been advised against large gatherings and many big sporting events have already been cancelled, it remains to be seen if Trooping the Colour will also be affected. The Buckingham Palace statement read, "Further announcements on Trooping the Colour, the 75th anniversary of V-Day and the state visit by the Emperor and Empress of Japan will be made in due course, in consultation with government."